via Mural because I'm a Mural Pro user since a couple of years. So I try to differentiate, or our team try to differentiate with working remote as much as possible. Anyway, even in person, we try to do it digitally because of the many advantages. Generating artifacts and things like that. As always, I'm on iPad Pro, so maybe you will not see my cursor. So for typical functionality where you use, ask us, Robert, to circle with the cursor, I will use my pen, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, we can work it out.
Okay.
Sabu, is that how you properly pronounce your first name, is Sabu, or is it different?
I have a long first name, so I'll go with Sabu. So.
Well, say now I'm curious. I want to know what your entire first name is.
It's Subramanian.
Subramanian?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I would say that every day just to get used to it.
Even I make typos. I make typos writing my name out. So just that.
Well, for checks, I can see like it's something you just want to go like this to kind of get your signature on there. So anyway.
Yeah. So hi everyone. I'm Subbu. I live in LA. I'm from India. I've been in US for 15 years now. So what I do is I'm consultant, and I've been consulting for product management. What it means, like I help my clients with product discovery as well as delivery. So I work either as a facilitator, or I would be doing solution architecture for the product itself. So I've been like in both sides of the thing, and as well as building product teams. So training product teams, hiring them and getting that project to product kind of mentality to the teams. Most of them don't know. So I also work quite with remote teams. So I work for a big services company from India. So they have like 24,000 people. So I work with my multiple customers. And the last customer I was working with was a cruise company. So that's how I came into the food process business. I was helping them to build a platform for managing their food waste. So the way that we did was, heard like farm to fork, there's more like freezer to fork, So it's as a huge operation for food process. So I was building a system tracking food from the production side, which is their freezer or the like any of the production areas, all the way to the customer's plate, and trying to help with auditing and tracking food flow. So which means I built like kitchen management systems, kitchen display systems, dining table reservation systems, and all of that connected platform. It's a pretty huge platform. It was a big success, and that's why I got into in industry. I mean, I was like more connected to the hospitality industry and the food and beverage industry. So, and that's why I was interested about this print.
Very cool. Right. Thank you for that. Let's see. Andy, Mr. Andy Davis.
Yes. How are y'all doing today? My name is Andy Davis. I lead the UX and innovation efforts for a company called Inspirus. Most people probably haven't heard of us, but we are owned by a parent company called Sodexo. And probably more people have heard that company, but they are worldwide and huge. But so I've been participating. This is this will be my second design sprint. I've been facilitating our team's design sprint this week for GVDS, and we are trying to get to the end of it. We're at the prototyping phase right now. So, but my passion really is in collaborating with other individuals to arrive at solutions and find new ways of looking at problems, and all the excitement and all the fulfillment that goes with that. So I'm excited to be a part of this one, and I'm really looking forward to learning about more about this problem and how we can impact it.
Cool. Daniel.
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel Herrera. I'm from Mexico City. I'm a product design engineer, and I've been in the GVDS for quite some time now. This will be the third design sprint. I wasn't planning to do the third week, but well, I wanted to support the team. And yeah, I've been doing design, industrial design, mechanical design. I study mechatronic engineering, and I got trapped, or I mean, yeah, attracted to the design world because of design thinking, IDEO, and all of that stuff. So I found DJ in Smart through Google. I got trapped in the algorithm, and then that's where I found Robert, because he's also from that community, and that's where I come from.
Cool. Thank you for coming around for a third week, Daniel. I know you got a lot to do, but that's really, I really do appreciate it.
No problem.
And you know, there's this person, Marguerite. She sounds really familiar. I don't remember where I placed her name, but can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Robert. We just talked to each other for 45 minutes right before this.
Yes, we did.
Thank you for the introduction. Marguerite Owsley. I am a product manager. Right now, I'm the head of product at an very early stage fashion tech startup. So it's not as fancy as it sounds, but it's a lot of fun. And so I do user research, work with designers, work with developers. And I've been a product manager for about 8 years, and I work remotely. And that's how because I work remotely, we use Mural a lot. So that's how I came across the GVDS and thought it sounded cool. And I was in the April session, and I joined this because I'm interested in the topic, and also I wanted to do an LDJ. I missed the ones from a couple of weeks ago. And I'm in New Jersey.
Cool. I'm very glad you're here. Natasha.
So I'm from Vancouver, Canada, but Italy sounds good too, Robert. So hey, maybe we'll go on the road, take this show on the road.
I'm terrible with accents, so fine. I'm glad you called me on it. I should be more embarrassed by that stuff.
This is, I don't know, I did a couple in April, and then I'm just wrapping up a sprint from last week. So super excited about this topic. If anybody is ever in Vancouver, I am definitely going to be taking you out for some food, because we have a great city here in terms of food. I love
Hey,
cooking.
Natasha?
Yep.
I think your microphone's going south. I think. There was like a really bad feedback going on. I think your microphone may have been like disconnected from, or be loose on its connection.
Okay. I don't know if that's better.
No, it's worse. Sorry.
Is that better?
That's good for now. I'll raise my hands like this if suddenly I hear the static again.
Okay.
So we got the majority of it the first time around.
Okay, it's all good. I just unplugged my headphones, which means that everyone else around me can hear us, and I'm in a public space. So I'll just finish off by saying, yeah, I'm really excited about the topic of this sprint. My background is user research, strategy, most recently product management. Yeah, super excited to get going. And I'm going to plug back in and stop talking. Keep listening.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's see, Susanna.
Hi, everybody. I'm Susanna Childers. I'm in outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I have a company called AHA, and we are facilitators of creativity and innovation. So I've been doing this for a long time, including all of the research, market research, concept research, user research, insight development. I'm certified in a creative problem-solving process and been deep involved in that community, which is very parallel to design thinking. So kind of seeing those move along for, we'll just say, a lot of years. So look really good for my 80 years of age. Someone always told me that, you know, make yourself older than you actually are, then they tell you how great you look. I came across Mural first and wanted to learn about Mural as a way of doing virtual facilitation, and through Mural found the GVDS, and we're just finishing up with several other people on this call, Team Marvel. And so I just here to learn more about the virtual format and design sprints in a virtual world, because almost all of my work has been in person. So I'm here to learn. Glad to join the team. Topic sounded interesting. the schedule looked like it was doable, so I'm on.
Cool. Wonderful. And finally, I think we have Nora.
Hello, my name's Nora Scully. I'm in Oakland, California. I have my own very small company called Scully Creative Spark. I design and facilitate engagements. My background is in instructional design. I worked in higher ed, leading the online teaching and learning initiatives for San Francisco State University, and did a lot of work previous to that in user testing with people with disabilities. I have a long history of working with people with disabilities in the field, and I'm a certified sign language interpreter. I'm also a sculptor. So I have built and made many things in many projects, and I loved the design sprint. It really maps to, to making. And that's what I'm all about. I previously had a project last spring with a company called Noble Food Scratch Start. It's a scratch starter, a flavor bomb that's added to food as a base. And we did some work with her to develop her more of an entry and move into the market space of how she could really sell that product. So I'm really excited about food. So that's what we're going to work on. Yeah. Thanks so much. I look forward to working with you.
Cool. Right, so let's get right into it. Before we begin, does anyone not have access to the mural we're going to be looking at? So right now I see about 5 other people besides me. So if you're looking to get into the mural, there is a link to the mural inside the Zoom chat. You can use that to basically get access. So real quick check, is there anyone not looking at what I'm about to show on my screen in just 10 seconds as I
That's
talk?
the GVDS Lightning Decision Jam.
Yep,
Yeah,
GVDS number 13, Team Cuisine Lightning Decision Jam, that one.
Yeah.
And everything is movable. I didn't lock anything down so that we can have a lot of fun kind of messing it up a bit. Including the cowboy and the steer. For some reason it's not there, but that's okay. All right, so we are going to move lightning fast to this thing. The thing to know is that if you need more time on any of the sections, do not be shy and say, I need more time, Robert, and I'll add a minute or 2 minutes, whatever it takes. These first couple ones are more exploratory around the topics of food, product design, and design thinking. So this is going to take a little bit of exercise first before we get into the things that may be intersecting in terms of like the more challenging side. So what you want to do is over here with things that are working, you want to kind of think about things related to food, design thinking, and product design that seem to be positive. So it's an interesting mix. Since this is kind of art's background, it would be interesting to kind of see how other people interpret it. So let's say, I'm going to give an example over here. And by the way, I'm going to call everyone to where I'm looking so that you're in the same space I am. So down here, you're going to be putting down on these gray cards things that are working with relation to for food, product design, and design thinking. If you can think of things that intersect even 2 of these, maybe not 3, but then something that maybe kind of going into 2 of these, like food and product design. One example could be that British baking show. For some reason, that particular show is kind of like an example of something where they're kind of doing old traditional cooking, but it's kind of getting into the mix of how product design would work in relation to food. Another could be like food delivery services. There's another. There had to be some sort of like design thinking around how that works. So basically different things that are in the market or different things that you've used or different things that you see that are intersecting either in food or product design or food and design thinking or even design thinking and product design with the emphasis on some sort of cuisine. So I'll give you about a minute to kind of explore this space. There are no wrong answers. This is just kind of exercising your perspective a bit and kind of seeing where your head is with this. So you can go to sushi, you can go to different types of cuisine, you can go to pizza, you can go to home cooked meals, whatever you like. Just kind of explore this for a minute and see what you come up with. Okay. Go ahead and we finish up whatever card you're working on by clicking off to the right in the white space or hitting enter. And again, none of these particular cards are we're going to move forward with. This is just to kind of at least start a little bit on the idea of what this thing is. So what we're going to do now is you kind of take a look at what other people initially have said about this topic, like self-serve point of sale vending and organic food, craft food uprising, small maker testing, you know, kind of the things that people have been talking about as collective. And you're going to go over here to the side where it says things that are challenging or problematic. And I'm going to add about food, product design, and design thinking. So this is going to be the opposite, where you're going to take some of the examples on the left and you're going to start kind of exploring this on the right. And we're going to give 2 minutes to this exercise, but basically you want to try to think of things that are in this space. Try to start at the very top of the screen rather than the gray boxes down below, because we will be taking this over to the right-hand side after we're done. So I'll go ahead and put 2 minutes up. Go ahead and see what you come up with. Again, no right or wrong answers. You're going to be putting down things that are challenging or problematic in the intersections of food, product design, and design thinking. Something that could potentially be an interesting problem to explore in a design sprint. Could be another way of doing it. And I would also encourage you to think crazy and bold, think way out there, think something that that maybe not as practical, but maybe something more, something where we still haven't perfected the smell of food over a computer. I was throwing out something there, but yeah, kind of see where it goes. Here's my cowboy. We have about 20 seconds left. Five seconds. All right, so just wrap up what you're working on and deselect whatever box you have. In about 10 seconds, I'm going to select the rest of the boxes I have not selected and bring them over to the side. So these. Well, no, let me copy, there we go. And one row down here. Right. Here's these grid. Boom. Okay, so next stop is affinity diagramming. And I'm going to summon everyone to kind of take a look at what I'm looking at. So now we have a bunch of cards here. What you're going to be doing is basically organizing them in a fashion so that things that seem to be categorized by the same, in the same space, you're going to basically sort them by similarity and then give a category to them. So basically, an example would be like, say, food safety and, you know, chemical nutrients versus chemicals, kind of in that same space. You could potentially take a category from up here and call it food safety. Yeah, somebody already did that, and basically go and put it over here. Now, food safety as a category and a topic are allowable, but what this is what you want to do is kind of create different categories for the types of cards you have here. If in the mode of, as you're kind of sorting these out, if you see duplicates, feel free to delete them, especially if they're very closely worded. If you're unsure as to whether or not one should be eliminated for the other, then as you're sorting, just go ahead and color those. Basically select 2 or 3 that have similar wording where you could potentially make the argument of removing one, and we'll briefly address those before going into voting. So to recap, you're taking all of the grade cards here and you're resorting them by category up above. Now you don't have to limit yourself to 6 categories. If you need another one, all you have to do is just basically move this over to the left and give it another category over here. And the uncategorized and redundant cards, we can move over a little bit to the right as well, just like this, because everything in Mural is pretty much editable. And go into that. And if you can't if there are some cards you can't find categories for, then that's okay. You can just basically put them on uncategorized and put them there until you can find a home for them if they need to be. And I will apologize in advance. We are going to be moving fairly quickly. So for those of you that are used to having some discussion around these particular cards, that won't be afforded to you for you today. But in the design sprint, I assure you we're going to be moving at a slower pace so that you'll be able to give more nuanced discussion to the different things you're talking about. Okay, I think we're pretty close to sorting things out. Let's go ahead and run a vote on this one. So, well, let's do a quick check. Is there any cards that are very similar? Just kind of look those over real fast and kind of scan them. See if there are 2 or 3 that kind of seem to be the same one, so we don't split votes on one or the other. So Nora's identified one. She says plastic uses an unsustainable packaging. That would infer that unsustainable packaging is also plastic, but could it be other types of packaging? For the
Yes,
person
it could. So we could keep it different.
Okay, but keep the color there, so at least we know that it's kind of in the same place. Looks like everyone else is kind of, I think we're good. Okay, so we're going to do voting. The way the voting kind of works is that you're not going to be voting on a category, you'll be voting on the cards themselves. You want to give ideally 1 vote per card, though you can do it so that you do more than one vote on more than one card. So healthy food for lower income folks and cost of healthy food, those are in the same space, but I think they arguably could be 2 different things that you could vote for. Then we have more time pressure in life means less time for nourishment and lack of time to prepare food. Yeah, those are pretty close. But one's about preparation, one's about just nourishment in general. Yeah, and there's those. How to find quick food options that are quick and healthy, cook really nice meals on busy weekdays. Kind of in the same space. Cooking takes too much time. Yeah, I'm gonna color those actually different colors. So we're putting too much blue. We'll go pink. There's an argument to be made about the blue one basically being like kind of in there. Who wrote the one that said less time for nourishment?
I think that was me. I'm just looking for it in the pile.
Oh, it's all the way down the bottom of the 4th row.
Oh yeah, I wrote that one. The time pressure in life.
Was that also that did you mean a lack of time to prepare food, or did you mean just in general in terms of your overall schedule?
I meant that like cooking healthy food sometimes takes more time than just throwing, you know, I don't know, a microwave meal or doing takeout or whatever.
I agree with the person that put a border on it, then probably lack of time to prepare food is incorporated into the blue one. So if no one objects, I'm going to basically take this one and put it in redundant cards. That one's, anything in the redundant cards section over here on the right should probably not be voted on. Instead, we'll just concentrate on these. So I'm going to take this off border. Okay, so the voting session works so that you're going to basically put one vote on each card that that you align with in terms of something that would be interesting to do a design sprint for. You can put a vote on more than one if you want to, though I try to encourage one on each one. So we have on the call, I'm going to do a real quick tally real fast. Oh, come on now, Zoom, play nice. Looks like we have 8 participants all together. So let's see, that's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So that maxes out to about 5 votes per person.
Robert, one question.
Yes.
Should we make all the colors gray, or are we kind of leading because of the colors? We're just tending to look at the colored ones. Yeah.
No, we basically leave them colored just so that you know that they're in the same camp.
Okay.
So that you don't necessarily vote on more than one in that same group.
Agree.
So, because they're kind of in the same space. So we're going to just turn this problem. Everyone gets 5 votes. What you're going to do is, again, vote on anything in the area that's there except for the categories and the redundant cards you don't touch. Basically, click on a card to vote on it, shift click to remove a vote, and know that no one can see your cursor, so your vote's going to be anonymous. And when everyone's voted except for me, I'm going to go ahead and end the voting session, and we'll move into the next stage, which is how might we. So far, Natasha and Frank are burning along. Nora's right there. It's a 3-way tie for who finishes first. That's not really a race. Now it's a 4-way tie. I'm just basically doing some calling. And Natasha crosses the finish line first with Susanna right behind. Okay, looks like Gauri Shankar is also here. Let's make more votes than I thought. It's okay though. Doing pretty good on the voting. We only have about 3 people left. Andy's about to finish his up. Sabu and Gauri are there. When there's 1 person left voting, there's a 30-second rule that we basically, I'm on the clock. The last person to vote has 30 seconds to get their votes in. And after that, I just close down the voting if they are any later than that. So I'll wait until I see that. Okay. Gauri, if you're already done voting, I'll assume that you're still voting, but you have 30 seconds. So my little camera here. No pressure.
That's like the analog of of digital. I don't know. Somehow it feels very analog.
Oh yeah, now Gauri's moving. Okay, there we go. Wow. All I need was a timer and that did it. All right. End of voting session. Let's see where everything vetted out. And we got 1, food delivery for remote workforces. Interesting. That one had 5 votes, but only 1 unique vote. So somebody put all their votes on 1. Yeah, so we got to go to more unique votes. And we got 2 at the bottom. It says time pressure in life means less time for nourishment and food deserts in urban areas. I think we're going to move with those 2 just because there's more of a balance of 1 of unique voters and votes for those. So we're going to take the 2 3s and let me zoom out of the way so I can close this. Let's see. Right, so we're going to do a quick, this is actually kind of cool. We're going to do something really quick to kind of figure out which one we're going to move forward with in terms of the problem. So I'm going to take these down here, move them into a row. And really fast, we're going to bring over the arrange by interest axis. The way this works is, if ever we have like a number of votes that are kind of in the same space, then we kind of evaluate them through here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. I'm going to put it somewhere in the interest down here. What you're going to do with your mouse cursor is put somewhere on this x-axis here where your personal interest is for this particular problem. Is it? Yeah.
I think those were the two that got the 3 votes.
Correct. I think that is the one. Those are the two that got the 3 votes, right?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you don't?
I thought it was the food deserts.
Yeah.
Food can be shared over distance as well. Oh, my fault. Sorry, you're right. You're right. Thank you for correcting me. No. Of course not. It's the hazard of moving fast with this. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So again, I'm going to put this time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. Basically, what you want to do with your mouse is essentially put somewhere on this x-axis where you think your interest is. So if this particular problem is of a low interest to you, you're basically going to put your mouse cursor somewhere down over here. If it's in high interest, you're going to put it more towards the side over here. You're going to draw. Yeah, but you got to use your mouse cursor because the drawing isn't going to be as effective.
Robert, at the risk of sounding really dumb, what is a food desert?
We're going to find that out.
Okay.
So it looks like, so go ahead and put your mouse cursor where you think it should go, outside of the doodle. And it looks like that one's very high up in the lead. Okay. So food desert, for the person that did this one, will you explain what a food desert is?
It's actually, I wrote that particular one. But it's similar to some other ones that were up there, but it's really about access to healthy food for people in lower income areas. It's been a issue for a long time that having access to good food. So I think that I've heard a term called food deserts in that they don't have access to anything but kind of junk food in a lot of urban areas in particular.
Well, like in Oakland historically, there are neighborhoods that were not as developed, and they were developed in areas that had blight, and so they did not get the same attention that areas that were considered growth areas got in terms of function and design. And so those areas that were not developed don't have grocery stores, don't have farms, don't have farmers markets. And there's a lot of work being done in Oakland, in the Bay Area, around that topic.
Okay. Thank you for that. Now, same thing as we did before. Put your mouse cursor over where you think this should find, especially in relation to this card. When you talk about time pressure in life means less for time for nourishment and food desert in urban areas, from your perspective, where does this sit? Is it before the card or after the card? Is it even higher times, a higher interest than that? So it looks like Natasha's kind of in the middle. Somebody doodled again right there. Then you have Gowry's way over there. I'm looking for more mouse cursors, so if you can, kind of put them somewhere on this interest level so I know where you are. And it looks like it kind of falls right around there somewhere. Okay, so time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. Let's kind of move with that. I'm going to bring that up to the top problem up here. And we're going to go into some how might we's. So if you've never done how might we's before, the way that this works is usually when you're confronted with a problem, you're going to think, oh, I just want to think of a solution. Like a time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. Well, I'm just going to adjust my life. But what how might we does is it kind of avoids that solution-based thinking and gets into speculation. It goes into probabilities or possibilities. So the way this works is that you're going to start every thought that you have with how might we go about something in particular. The more general you can be, the better. If you get more detailed, you're kind of integrating your solution into things. So an example of how this works, or an example of how to do a how might we, it says, how might we, for time pressure in life means less time for nourishment, how might we structure our thinking, structure our approach to food in a to-doist fashion, like basically to put things in checklists, so that if things that basically there's a lot of time pressure in life, and a lot of people work off of checklists. So basically something that works off of a checklist, so to speak. And that's kind of how to approach this. So go ahead and try your hand at how might we's. Again, it's going to seem a little strange if you've never done it before, especially if you're trying to speculate on the question. So don't feel like you have to get it right. I will only allot 1 minute to this just because of the time constraints. So I apologize in advance if it feels a little rushed. So 1 minute, put your thoughts down on how might we's, and we'll see how this goes. I'm just trying to keep up with the demand of the how might we's at the same time. 1 minute, give it a whirl. Probably the first thing that comes top of mind. And Andy, I know we have a meeting after this, so we'll just start it whenever we get done with this one. You have 15 seconds. It's like the crazy 8 version of how might we's. All right, please finish up what you were working on so that I can transfer those over to the next section. Just waiting for a few of these to get done. And I can bring them all over. Ding-a-ding, a-ding-a-ding, a-ding. And we got 2 people still working on. Please hit enter if you are still working on your stuff so I can grab it. Thank you, Natasha. Who is that down there? Is that Susanna? Somebody, couldn't tell. All right, hang on. Give me a minute. Doing a little bit of transferring. And you're gonna like this because it's gonna look really, really familiar, is that we're gonna be doing, again, some affinity diagramming, same thing as before. Arrange all of these particular cards in a fashion that you find fit. You can basically use categories that are up above, put redundant cards over here, uncategorized in this column, and go ahead and go after it. There's no right way or wrong way of doing it. Just kind of put the cards in a fashion that seems to make sense to you in terms of organization. And as before, if you see redundant cards, then go ahead and color them. We can briefly kind of look at them and then make a judgment call collectively or authoritatively if I'm just saying, let's go this route. And we'll move on to a little bit of voting. And believe it or not, we're making excellent time. So this, so far we're pretty good. For reference, speak up if you have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour. If you absolutely positively have to leave at the 30 mark, or if you got time to flex for about 5 or 10. No? Okay. Maybe we'll flex a little bit. Right, that's looking pretty good. Just go through real fast and see if there's any duplicates that you can see, something that's worded closely. Just color them in the same color. You can briefly take a look at them before we go into voting. It's also a nice way of being able to review what other people have done, kind of consume them. In the meantime, I will just double check how many people we've got in the call. 8, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. Divide by 28, 4.
Can I ask about one of the cards, maybe just for clarity?
Go for it.
The how might we add the health and safety aspect to the food lovers? if anyone can speak to that, just so I can understand it a bit more.
Maybe that could be Gowry's ones. One of Gowry's, because he's not on the call. He's just basically participating in the LDJ, I think.
Yeah.
I think. Okay. It's going to have to remain a mystery, Natasha. I don't think anyone's speaking up for that one.
Say Levy.
Yeah. Hang on a minute. Okay, Nora, fair enough. If you have to go and eat lunch, I understand. All right, so everyone gets 4 votes. Vote on all the gray cards, none of the ones in the gold. Like you saw last time, if you stack the votes on one card, it may appear at the top, but it's gonna not, we're kind of balancing out between unique votes and regular votes, unique voters and the number of votes tallied. So this is the how might we vote, and there's gonna be 4. Go ahead and give it a shot. Click on the card that you want to vote for, shift click if you want to remove it and put it somewhere else. And your cursors are hidden so no one's going to see what you are doing. Susanna's about to cross the finish line first. She knew what she was after in terms of votes. Oh, she's done.
With the computer that's cooperating, it makes it easier.
That's true. I've had computers that don't cooperate.
That's where I was on my last LDJ, so this helps.
So you've come full circle. You finally, the karma kind of balances itself out. You finally have one that works.
I'm borrowing a computer from my tech guy, so
Oh, well then there you go.
I'm only partway there, but
Can we shout out for tech guys? I think they're the most, some folks are very well intentioned and they don't get enough credit. All right, as last time, Gowry, you have 30 seconds to put your votes down. Normally I wouldn't do this, but we're on a time crunch. And sometimes Mural has the interface where it shows somebody has not put their votes down, but in fact they have, but just Mural doesn't track it sometimes. 3 seconds. I guess done.
Because it looks like he has made no votes at all.
Yeah, I think he's idle. Okay, end the voting session. Let's see what came out on ZOP. How may we make more time for our food? I think that works. It just beat up how might we prep enough vegetables to add to meals throughout the week. So for the sake of purposes, we'll go with this one. Make more time for our food. And we're going to move that over here. So let's review. We have the top problem that we have identified as time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. And then how might we make time for our food? So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're trying to answer that particular question in the rapid ideation. 1 minute to fill up as many ideas that come to mind, making time for our food as you can. There is no right or wrong answer. The more bolder, the better. The more crazier, the better. But you have exactly 1 minute to put everything that's in your head and put it in those gray boxes there. And you're answering the question, how might we make more time for our food? And I'll give you 2 minutes. How about that? Let's not make it a minute. Make it a minute, 26 seconds. So you can kind of give some breathing room for your brain to kind of figure out some ideas. I'll contribute as well, though I won't be voting. Okay. Finish up your cards, whatever you're working on. And we're going to be done. So as before, I'm going to go through the same script. I'm not going to move the cards this time. Basically, take all of your cards from rapid ideation and drag them down to categories below in the Affinity Diagramming section. Go ahead and put them in categories that make sense for you. So literally just make food a top priority and drag it down here, along with create more robots to do our work, maybe in that same space. But go ahead and drag them down, make a category, and then you can basically go from top to bottom from that point. Well, you guys are doing great. This is about the fastest lightning decision gem I've done to date. And it took smart people like you to make it happen. Okay. Just arranging a couple of these so that they're a little bit easier to read. Like this. Okay, really fast, just kind of look, oh, hang on, I deselected a few of them. Go ahead and take a look real fast for duplicates and look for duplicate cards that you may see that are similar in nature. And if you do find any of them, just color them so that other people can kind of take a look at them and see if we have any redundancy. So take a minute to do that. I should also get you familiar with the cards as well. Eat while socializing, meals, make meals a social moment. Yep, I agree. I'm going to take out eat while socializing and put it over redundant cards and bring it over this up. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 33. So let's do 5 votes each for this one. Again, you're voting on all the cards that are not categories, and there is no right or wrong answer for this. You're going to be voting on the things that you would be interested to explore in a design sprint. So I'm just going to term it ideas, 5 votes each, and we'll go into the voting session. Click on a card that you like versus click on a card that you want to take your vote off of. And I'm reading the orange card really fast. Mindfulness around food, have that space. Do how important eating is for well-being. Definitely in the same space. One's a little bit more granular than the other. Probably they would still exist in this. They still stand alone as individual cards. But yeah, just be aware of them when you're voting. And Frank's the fastest so far. He's nearly done. He knew what he was voting for.
Just so you know, my mural is showing trying to reconnect, even though I believe I still have internet if you guys can hear me on Zoom.
Yeah, I can hear you. If you do see that, try refreshing your browser and that may reset it properly.
Okay.
Sometimes that helps. Otherwise, worst comes to worst, Natasha, you can tell me your votes in chat. It's a little slower, but
it just loaded, so I'm gonna run with this. Thanks.
Okay. halfway done with the voting. And, oh no, can't do that. Never mind. Never mind. I'm about to, it's funny. Every single time I go get a clock for Gowrie. All right, 30 seconds, Gowrie. I'm giving you a little bit of that, a little bit extra time. You got 3. Got to bring them home. The doors are closing. Please hold on. Get your arms and hands inside the ride as we make our way to Concourse B. Actually, it would be C at this point. 2 votes left. Can 2 votes get in at 4 seconds? All right, time's up. Hopefully those 2 votes are going someplace fast, because here we go. End of the voting session. And let's see what came out. Wow, we got some interesting ones. So we got mindfulness around food, and we have promote the benefits of taking time to eat over doing over things. Business meeting all include healthy eating and keep the recipe super simple. Now I'm gonna do an audible here. So normally we would try to vet out this last 2 that have 3 votes, but I'm gonna for the sake of time and simplicity, I'm gonna choose the second one, which is keep the recipe super simple over the business meetings all include healthy eating, and move those particular ones over to the right. So this is our last exercise, and then we will be set. So while I'm getting everything together, over here on the right, and I'm gonna call everyone's attention to it, there's these participant vote circles. Go ahead and put your name in a row on some of these. So if your name's Natasha, you double click on a circle and put Natasha, Natasha, Natasha in blue, green, or blue, gold, and gray. And I'm gonna get set up here while y'all are doing that. And then I'll explain how this next section works. Let's see. So this one was blue, this one was gold, and this one was gray. Right. So now we're setting the foundation for the design sprint for next week. Again, let's review. The top problem in relation to food design thinking and product design was the time pressure in life means less time for nourishment. The how might we speculated was how might we make more time for our food? And these are the 3 particular paths we were considering. Mindfulness around the food we eat, promote the benefits of taking time to eat over doing other things, and keep the recipe super simple. Now, when you consider those 3 particular solutions, they are represented by the dots you just put your names in, blue, gold, and gray. You're going to take a look at the impact interest matrix here. And before we vote, I'm actually going to lock this down so that none of this gets moved when we're trying to vote. All right. Now, the way this works is that you're going to consider the blue one up here, mindfulness around food. And I'm going to be Natasha, and I'm going to start in the center right here. I'm going to go for me, I'm trying to figure out, do I have a high interest in this in relation to the problem? If I were in a design sprint, would this really interest me? Mindfulness around food. And if I'm really interested, I'm going to move my circle over here somewhere on the x-axis. And the more I move it over to the right, the more interest I have. If this isn't me and I'm not really interested, then I'm going to move it more over to the left and basically make it on this side if it doesn't show much interest for me personally. And then the other thing to consider is impact. So if you had a mindfulness around food for making time for food in relation to time pressure in life means less time for nourishment, do I think the solution would have an impact in relation to that? And Natasha has to think, well, you know what? I think it's got a great impact. So I'm gonna kind of put it somewhere up here, or maybe it's like, kind of, sort of, but maybe I think that, you know what? It's not really, doesn't have much impact. I'm gonna put it down here. You're gonna do this with every one of those solutions. So the gold dot equals to the gold solution up here, and the gray one equals to the gray box. So you're going to go through the same thinking, grab a dot based on the solution, and figure out where in this axis it fits for you. I will say that if things land in the forget about it section, or the not that interesting or very interesting, that's totally okay. You should really get selfish about this and be very critical about the solutions so that you can figure out where exactly they fit for you, because we're going to be framing our design sprint next week based on these answers. So have at it. Natasha, I'm going to give you a blue dot vote back so you can have that. But go ahead and put those dots where you think they should be. If you have any clarifying questions, please speak up and ask those. But this will be our last activity of this session. And again, there are no right or wrong answers. This is just to connect your interest with the idea in relation to the problem, and whether or not from your standpoint you think that this particular solution could have an impact in relation to the problems that you had kind of explored initially.
I think somebody stole my gray dot.
That's never happened before. Well, then you got to take it back then.
I'll just make a copy of somebody else's.
I think Gowrie may be the person. Yeah, I think Gowrie's the one because they didn't get the verbal instruction, so that could have been it. It's interesting to think that Gowrie can't hear me, but still trying to follow along with what's going on. So. Okay, so my final kind of notice on where things are vetting out is that it looks like that, interesting enough, this time around, everyone felt like these particular things would have an impact. There wasn't anyone that felt that it was going to have a negative. Well, there goes Art, like disproving my theory. Never mind. It's going to just blow it out of the water. So Art is the lone person that thinks that this particular one doesn't work. But let's concentrate on the upper right-hand side because that's kind of telling on where we could go with things. So here it looks like between the blue and the gold and the gray, it looks like the blue and the gray have kind of equal representation in terms of like something that has high interest and high impact, and that's mindfulness around food and keep this recipe super simple. Gold has some representation, but just not as much. So what that means is going into the design sprint next week, these two particular ones are going to be part of the conversation we'll have in the first half an hour around how these two may be interrelated to one another, or if we're going to be basically working on a solution that does both or one or the other. And that's where we would start off things on Monday. So that is the lightning decision jam for food, product design, and design thinking. It was fast and furious, and I know I must have made some head spin, but I really do appreciate everyone who came on the call to be part of this. I know you have places to be and things to do, so that's why I'm kind of wrapping it up without kind of like any other commentary. But if you do have any comments, go ahead and leave those really fast before we shut down the call and go our separate ways. Any comments at all? Feel free to kind of pipe up. What did you think of the process? Was it good, bad, too fast?
Super excited for next week.
Cool. Me too.
Here.
All right. Cool.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for joining on. It was fantastic working with all of you really briefly, especially for those that may not be here for next week. I'm going to do a group shot really fast before we leave. I'm going to open this up. So the thing that we usually do is we grab something that's close to you, that's either a personal item or something that you want to put in front of you to say like, okay, this is me. And I'm going to do a repeat of what I did last time, and that I'm going to take my son's Hot Wheel cars and put them in both sides. So there you go. Boo, do you have anything? Anything at all you want to put out there? Or you do, or like put in the Hot Wheels cards like, there you go. Pens. Okay, I'll drop them like this. All right, on count 3, I'm going to do a screenshot. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you on Monday for those of you who are returning. Take care of yourselves. Have a restful weekend, okay? Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you.